Thank you everyone for joining. I'm very happy to present this webinar today. We're going to talk about how to increase user adoption of your ClicData analytics platform. We're going to go through some key features of ClicData, a lot of demoing, not so much slides. I hope you like that format. And I'm just going to go through some basics here. I hope that everyone can see and hear me, at least see the slides and the presentation. We have a chat which is moderated by Shree, where you can ask all your questions. Also say if something is wrong with the audio, for example. And also we're recording the webinar as usual. So if you're missing something or if you want to go back to something later on, you can watch the video on our YouTube channel later on. All right, so let me present myself. I'm Anna Walter, the product manager of ClicData. So my aim is to make sure that we offer you the best product possible with the greatest features that you need and that are making your life and work easier. And I also have Shree with me, our VP for NORAM. As said, he's moderating the chat, so don't hesitate to ask him questions. And we also have questions, time for questions at the end if you want to. Don't hesitate to either ask them during the webinar or ask them at the end. We're going to go through these 4 big topics: white labeling your account, security, customizing user experience, and a seamless integration with your own app. First of all, what are the methods to increase engagement and adoption of any web platform? They go through all of these different aspects: design, implementation, branding, security, personalization, and integration. So we hosted another webinar a few weeks ago where we went through the design best practices and implementation best practices of dashboards. So I'm not going to go into these topics in this today, but I'm going to go through the 4 other ones. So let's start with branding. So what does branding mean? Why does branding actually help with user adoption? Branding is about making your app or your platform look familiar to your users. So that can go through basically colors, logos, fonts, the company name, of course, that you're using in your ClicData account and that you're showing to your end users. If they're familiar with all of these graphical elements, these branding elements, they will probably be comfortable and be confident that what you provide there for analytics is of high quality and top level as the rest of your app, obviously. So it really helps if you make your user comfortable visually in the app. So what are the features that ClicData offers for all of these different aspects? We'll go through them one by one in the app, but I'm just going to list them here directly. So at the account settings level, you can white label your account. So these are the features that are available. So you can customize your login page. You can customize the header of your account, but also have different types of logos that you can apply at different places in the app. You can also use custom fonts. If you have a custom font for all your company communication, that's something that you can set up in ClicData and use in your reports and dashboards. And you can also customize the domain where you are providing access to the ClicData account, and also the email sender. Email sender means all the emails that are generated by the system. For example, when a dashboard is shared, these kinds of automated emails, they can be sent also by a custom email sender. And also at the objects level, meaning at the reports or dashboard level, you can customize the live links. So we'll have a look at all of these different elements right away. Just going to share my screen. Great. So this is obviously not white labeled. So this is a domain where we don't have the white label option. So I wanted to show you how it looks like when it's not white labeled to your brand. This is the ClicData branding, and this is the default branding for all accounts. So you have the ClicData logo, and then you cannot change the colors here, and you have this custom this branded background, which talks about ClicData. If you want to white label your account, it could look something like that, where you can really see that nothing is left from ClicData, except in this case, well, the URL, but that's something you can change as well. And I'm going to show you how it looks like and where to change all of these things in the account settings. So if I go into the same account here, we can go to the account settings. And here at the top, you can see we have all this branding section. This is where you will do all the customization. So first of all, you can load some logos, different types of logos. So for example, this wider logo with a light background. You can also have another one for the dark background, and also square logos and a favicon if you want. So the favicon is going to be visible on your tab here. As you can see, I haven't put any here, so that's why this is not white labeled, but that's where you can also decide on a favicon. So an option that you can do is change the header of your account here. So by default, I've chosen the company name, but I could do some custom text. So it could be like something, hello and welcome. And of course, that will apply automatically, as you can see here. And I can change also the logo, which is shown here. So I think the white background could be interesting. Let me just reload. Yeah, you can see this has changed now. So this is a way to simply change the approach here. More interesting, I think, is the login screen to customize. So you have access to all the different elements of that page. So you can change the background of your login page with an image, or you can also have a color if you want. And you can see that immediately when you do changes here, it applies here. So you have that preview to make sure that you see what you're doing. And you can change different and yeah, just set it the way you want. So you can have colors, or you can also have a solid color maybe, or an image like I had before. The panel here can be put on the left or on the right. So I'm not going to go through all of these settings, but you can see that everything here is customizable, and even the labels and the fields and how they look like, the corners, the rounded corners, and etc. Then we have the custom fonts. Let's go save that. You can add as many custom fonts as you want. So you simply click the Add New button, like in the rest of the app, you know that. Then you just paste your URL. You can go for the Google fonts, for example, give a name, and then add it to your account. And every custom font will then be available in reports and dashboards to be used. Then we have something called the global parameters. So these are parameters as we have also for users and teams. These parameters can be used across the account for things that are really common to all your objects. For example, if you have a logo, for example, a URL for your company logo, you can put it in here. And then in your dashboards, you could, for example, call that parameter, and that will actually apply and show your logo all the place in all your dashboards, always the same logo, to be sure that it's always the correct logo. I know that marketing teams are always very adamant of using the right logo and colors. And then interestingly here, you can actually change the domain of your account. So in this case here, we have a ClicData subdomain, but you can actually set up your own custom domain with and just remove ClicData from here. So this is what I have on this other account here. You can see here I am using as another domain, which is called analyticswork.com. And this has been set up here. It's the active one. You can see that my default ClicData subdomain is still here as well, because if ever I want to deactivate that, I have to go back to another domain, obviously. So I just can go back to my ClicData first domain. And then lastly, you have the email sender. That's what I was talking about before. So you can create a new email. For example, you can say, okay, this is going to come from this email here, .com, company.com. And I'm going to call this Anna. Okay, this is going to be the email that's going to be sending the emails. Obviously, you need to use a real email, because when you add that, we are going to send an email to that address and make sure that it exists. And then you will get a code that will allow you to validate that you use this custom email. So these are all the settings that you can use, for white labeling your account. There is also another place where a white label comes into play. It's at the dashboard and reports level. So if we go to a live link, for example, we can see here on the live link of this dashboard, we have the live link code here. We can change that to something else. And we can also remove the toolbar, which is displayed on live links. We'll see that later as well. You can remove it, you can change it, you can change the title here, you can add your company logo, etc., like you have in the header of your account, very similar to this. Just going to show you quickly how it looks like. So the toolbar we're talking about is this one here. So I'm on the same live link here, and you can see that I haven't changed it for now, but I could, as said, remove it, change the wording here, to change the logo, change the color, etc. So that's what the white label features allow you to do. So this will help actually brand your ClicData account to your colors, to your logo, to make it familiar to your users. Okay, the next aspect is security. Obviously, you want that your users feel secure, right? When they log into your account and there is no doubts about the security of the login, of their access. So there are different features that can be implemented here. So you can use very strong passwords. You can put up multi-factor authentication where you have a second authentication on your phone. You can set up single sign-on so that actually users, when they are logged in your app, they are automatically logged in ClicData as well. They don't even need to log in. It's completely seamless. And then you have also a lot of options to manage your access and permissions in the app. So we're going to look at these as well. So just to translate these different features into ClicData features, we have all of these different options available. We go through that in the app as well. And then at the security level, we have roles and different access rights, and then the licensing as well. Just going to give a word about that. So we have a simple system to allow for a very flexible security management and access rights in ClicData. I'm going to go through it because I think it's important that we understand what each level of access right does. Basically, when you want to access an object in ClicData, whether it's a dashboard or a report or a data set or whatever, you need a license so that user can access ClicData. Then you need a role to give access to a certain module. And then you need access to a folder where the object is stored. And then you also need access to the object level. So why do we have all these levels of access? It actually helps you to manage in a very fine way who can access what. And it totally makes sense, you will see. So let's dive into the app. We're going to go to the account settings first and then to the security management. So first of all, let's look at the account settings. So we've been through branding. Let's look at security now. So first of all, you can set up different types of authentication in ClicData. So the default one is an email and a password, and it's the one that is the most used and that is the simplest, right? People will log in like we have here with an email address and a password. Then you can also set up different authentication types. So you can add other authentication types, for example, using SSO protocols like OpenID or SAML, and also Google sign-in. So that's what I've already done on this account here. Google sign-in means that people will have a button to actually sign in using Google directly on the app. And that's actually very handy, right? Okay, I'm already logged in here. I'm not going to show that. But that's very handy, right? Because if people are, have already logged into their Google account, then they will be logged into ClicData as well directly. It's an SSO protocol as well. You can also set up SSO with Microsoft as well. And you can have multiple authentication types in parallel, meaning that you can, for example, manage different SSOs for different different companies in the same ClicData account. And each user will actually use only one authentication method, obviously, the one that you have defined for them. In the password policy, you can set up the the level of strength that you want for the password. So you can force, for example, uppercase, lowercase, certain numbers, numbers of characters, etc. You can also set the number of days before users have to change the password. So that's actually you ensure that they regularly change their password. Something you can set up as well here. You can also allow or enforce 2FA. So 2FA is when you authenticate via an app on your phone, for example, you first log in to ClicData and then it asks you for confirmation on your app. So you have different options. So you either don't allow it at all, or you allow it. So that means that every user will be able to choose if they want to use 2FA or not. And you can also enforce it, meaning that you really force every user to go through 2FA. And 2FA is managed at the personal settings level. So when you set up 2FA, it's over here. So in this case, I haven't enabled it here. That's how it looks like. You enable it, you scan the code with your app, and then you have that double verification on your app. And similarly here, you can see that you can also set passkeys. So passkeys are a very recent way of logging and securing a login to an app. It really goes through a sort of a double authentication as well, but which is actually bound to your device, whether it's a phone you're logging with or a desktop, for example. So that's also an interesting way to offer authentication to your users. So every user will be able to choose the authentication they like best. Finally, you can also enforce an IP whitelist. So that means that if you do that, if I save this now, people who will be logging to ClicData, they will have to be on that IP address, or obviously other ones that they can add. So that really ensures that you only have users logging into ClicData that from which you know the location. Basically, this is interesting if you want people to only log into ClicData from their office, for example. That's where you would probably use this. And you can also enforce this on live links or not. All right, so yeah, I wanted to talk about the different security levels as well. So this happens at the user level in the security workspace. So for every user, first of all, if you want them to be able to use ClicData, you will have to give them a license, right? So I cannot unlicense myself, but that's how you make sure that people actually have a license. You just toggle that button on. Let me actually show you here. It's gonna make more sense. You can just make sure that they have that license to access ClicData. The second level is to give them a role. And the role is defined in this other menu here. And roles make sure that you give access to different modules of ClicData. What is a module? A module in ClicData is, for example, one of these links here, right? See, if I want to give a designer, for example, access to only dashboards because they are only supposed to create and edit dashboards, that's what I can define in this role. So let's have a look at the permissions here. So you can see we have one user here, Bob, who is a designer, and the permissions given here are the following. So in general, I have ticked on the web app access, meaning that he can actually log into the app. I could also give access to only the mobile app, for example. But in this case, I want him to be able to edit dashboards. So I'm giving him access to the web app. And then also to dashboards only. And then also I want him to be able to read and get help from the help center. So I'm also giving him access to help, and then maybe also to support tickets, because that makes sense. So that means that Bob is going to be seeing only dashboards in his main menu, actually, right? If he goes here, he will see only dashboards. By the way, I can show you. Maybe that makes more sense. Let's impersonate. So you can see Bob has only access to dashboards and support tickets, and he can also go to the help center. Okay, so now I also want Bob to be able to see certain dashboards, right? So what I can do is under the dashboard folder system, I'm going to give him access to this folder, for example, because I want him to be able to work on whatever is in the folder. So I give him access to this folder. Okay, he already has access. He cannot edit this folder because I don't want him to. I just want him to create and work on dashboards I decide to. So he's already listed here, so that's fine. And then on the dashboard itself, same thing. I will give him access to this dashboard with edit rights because obviously he's a designer. I want him to design a dashboard. Okay. So with these 4 levels of security, I make sure that Bob sees really exactly what he needs to and nothing else. All right, let's dive into this third part, personalization, which is the most exciting one. So you have a lot of features in ClicData to personalize the user experience for your users. So first of all, each user in their personal settings, they can set things like the preferred number and date formats, like also the dashboard defaults. Makes sense if you are, for example, a designer and you always design for a certain width or size of dashboards, and you always work with a certain color palette. That's also something that could be interesting to set by default, so that every time you start a new dashboard, you're not going to have to choose these things again. And as a admin, you can set up the whole account with certain things like the menus and the content of the homepage. So we're going to go through these in detail. So these are really interesting features because they allow you to completely turn your application into an analytics platform and make the experience very different from user to user depending on their role and what you want them to see actually. So these are 2 other options we'll go into. And then you have also the option to personalize each object also to users and teams using parameters. So either you can create dashboards that are really the same for all people, or you can design personalized dashboards that will adapt to whoever is actually logging to the dashboard. So this is a very powerful feature, very much appreciated by our users, obviously. So these user parameters are set at the user setting level or the team setting level and then applied on dashboards. I'll show you how. So we'll start with the menus and the homepage first. Okay. So by the way, the personal settings are over here. This is where you can decide on your preferred formats, dashboard defaults, etc. But first of all, let's dive into the homepage. Let me show you actually what it looks like. So you have different types of homepage designs. So this is one of them here. But you can see here, I have also a menu. So it's a very simple menu. You can see you have here, sub levels. You can have up to 3 sub levels. So you can create a full toolbar here with access to different things. You can, for example, put dashboards in these different elements. You can also put binders there. For example, here you can see you have a binder. You can also display other things like all the favorites of the person. So there's a lot of options, and also the way they're shown here are different. So in this case here, I've chosen a grid, and I will just go for no grouping. So you can see here I have a grid of all my preferred dashboards, and then I can filter them by type, by tag, and can order them by name, date, etc. And I can also show different sizes. So that's just one option of showing dashboards and homepage. Let me show you all the options that exist. So if we go into the account settings, so we've been through this. So this is the customization happens here on the home menu. So there are different ways to apply this. Basically, you can define that each user will choose what they want for themselves, but you can still define a default presentation for everyone. Uh, and you can also, just force it to everyone, same approach for everyone. And you can also define it at the role level, meaning that for each role, you will show another type of homepage. In this case, what I like to do is just let users choose, because everyone can then, in their own personal settings, choose whatever they like best. So you have different options here. You can show the quick start, which is mostly interesting for very newcomers, which will give them access to main modules directly. You can show visualizations. That's what we have. That's what we had here. You can see that there are different options here. You can, for example, show all the different items. You can, of course, just choose, no, I just want to show binders. That means that every item that is visible to the user will be visible on that homepage. You can also select only all favorite items. Again, maybe just one type of item. Or you can also choose a selection of items, which is interesting because that means you can really fine tune what people can see. So very simple, you choose if it's a dashboard, a binder or whatever, and then you will choose and place them in the right order you want them to see it. You can also decide how it looks like. So we've seen the grid example. You can also show another design. For example, here, the simple with thumbnails. Let's have a look at how this one looks like. Just going to quickly show you. Okay. All right. I will enforce this to everyone. Up. There you go. Okay, so we have here all the thumbnails for all the other dashboards that I can see, and by default I have one here. But then obviously I can also open other ones if I want. So there are a lot of different options here. So it's very interesting. You can fine tune what everyone can see, and the same options are available at the user levels, right? If you choose to let users choose for themselves, so everyone can choose the same kind of options. And then you can combine that with menus. Menus, if you remember, are this piece here, these links here. And you can have as many menus as you want, but then each user can have only one menu. Obviously, it's not possible to have two menus. It's going to be complicated. But here on the menu, you can decide different elements. So for example, here in this overview tab, which is called overview, I'm showing a binder. And then I have created a sub-level where I can see that in marketing, for example, on the link marketing, I have no action, nothing is happening. And then I have different dashboards, etc. And then I have also the option to show all favorites on one of the tabs. So that's also interesting. And you can choose other options, right? You can choose a specific binder, specific report, specific dashboard, an external URL even, and you can also choose to show only favorites, for example, or all the dashboards, etc. So combining all of these options, you have a lot of flexibility to choose whatever your users can see. So it's really up to you, imagination of how you want to display the homepage of each user, and make sure that they are looking at the right things that you want them to see. All right, let's look at the personalization. So personalization is happening at the, for example, dashboard level. You can do that also in reports. In this case here, I want to remember the example I've shown on the slides. I want my user, myself, to see my own figures on the dashboards. So how am I doing this? Let me show you. When I go into the design of my dashboard here, you can see that I'm called out by my name. Okay, my name is not Bianca, but in this case, in this account, my name is Bianca. And in this dashboard, I can see my own figures. How is that possible? I can see that it's also pre-filtered on my region. So what I'm using here is the user parameters. Let me show you how it works. It's very simple. So I have my user here, Bianca, and I have applied parameters to Bianca. So I said that the region is South America. And I'm using this parameter here on my widget, on my drop-down list in the filters. So I'm saying, okay, the region here should be equal to the user parameter called region. In this case, it's South America. So that's why my dashboard is now filtered on South America. And because all of the other widgets here are also filtered on South America, I can see only my figures. And I don't have the ability to see the others. So that is interesting, right? If you want to really personalize what every user can see, you can work on these different filters and logics and make sure that people see maybe only what they have to see. In my case here, I want Bianca to see her sales, her regional sales, but I also want her to see how she actually relates to other regions. So in this case here in the filters, I have just selected the global dashboard filters, but not the regional filters. So that means that I can see everything here. So you can do a mix and match between what specific numbers for people, but then also I'll show them, for example, a benchmark like we've seen here. And obviously for each user that you add and that you give parameters to, they will see their own figures. So I have just prepared here another live link. I hope you can see it, where we can see that here I'm logged in with another user, which is Neil. And Neil sees his own figures. And I see not South America, but I see Europe, because that's the user parameter for Neil. So this way you can personalize the dashboards. It's the same dashboard for everyone, but it's personalized for each user using these user parameters. So it's a very simple way to make your users comfortable with the numbers they see and the data they see, just because it's personalized to their own specific needs. And by the way, in this case here, you can see that I'm also using the user name. This is not a user parameter. This is simply a formula that I've used. It's you can see it here. I've concatenated different strings like hello, and then I'm using the user first name, which in this case is just a formula. It's not even a parameter, which is Bianca. And I've concatenated that to make a phrase to say, hi, Bianca. So, yeah, so that's the way to personalize your content to your users. Because the very last step you can do is integrate everything we've seen now into one approach, which is a completely seamless user experience for users. If you, for example, embed a dashboard into your app, you can use the live link of your dashboard to embed it into your application. For example, here we have a very simple app where we have an overview with the KPIs of the user. The KPI here, the KPI is actually a live link from ClicData. The rest is your app. And of course, you can brand it. You can log in people via SSO so that when they actually load that page, they're automatically logged in their dashboards. And you can personalize the dashboards to make sure that they see their own data, just everything we've seen just now. So when you integrate everything, you will have a completely seamless user experience for your end users. And obviously, this will help you with user adoption, because they will not even know they're actually looking at a dashboard from somewhere else. And this is the best of all worlds, I would say. Christian has demonstrated that in the last webinar. So I hope you've seen it, and if not, I encourage you to have a look. And that brings us to the end of our webinar today. So I don't know if you have questions.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anna. Just kind of walking through what are the different features, the white label, security, and parameter, and letting users know these are not just technical upgrades, but really strategic levers that they can use to help the users in their organization adapt and start using ClicData's dashboards more. We do have a few questions that have come up. The first one is in terms of setting up the SSO authentication. Is it possible for a single account on ClicData to use multiple user authentications?
Okay, I just heard the end of your question, but I think I got it. So the question is if a single account can have multiple authentications. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So definitely, you can do that. So we have, for example, customers who are managing different accounts and different customers, and each of them have different SSO setups, using different IDPs, and they can manage these different authentication methods in parallel. So that's very simple. Indeed, yeah, it's possible.
So yeah, one account is not restricted to one authentication method. You could have a mix of some users using one IDP partner and the other ones using the other IDP partners. Perfect.
Yeah, and you can also mix between email password and SSO, for example. That's possible too, or Google sign-in.
Awesome. And we do have a few more questions, but I'll take one more question, which seems to be relevant to user adoption. You spoke a lot about user parameters. If you need to share it with the sales team in a regional level, is there something on a team parameter as well, or is it restricted only to the user parameters?
No, what we've seen with user parameters can be done in exactly the same way at the team level, meaning that it's true that for the region, for example, it's a very good example where you could actually apply that at a team parameter, at a team level, sorry, rather than a user parameter, or user level, I should say. So yeah, definitely with this, it's exactly the same logic, just that a team has multiple users under its umbrella. So
Awesome.
whatever team parameter you apply, it will apply to all the users in that team.
Perfect. So you could use a combination of team plus user parameters. So you're trying to
Yes,
filter the
exactly.
dashboard for an entire region and then further for a salesperson within that region.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks.
That's the typical use case. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Anna. I know we had a few more questions, but just looking at the time, we'll reply to those questions individually by email or something. But if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at support@clickdata.com, and our support team can help you further. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Have a good day.